Audio recorded on July 14, 2023, by Sybil Madoff and Baylor. For educational sharing in audiobook Flor de Aromalicos know the intersection of racism and sexism in the field of health, sexual and reproductive. Authors: Manuel Freitas goes 11 in for my Senatorista. Mestranda Scola the Inframogen /gem /UFBA Nolda Rosen do Nascimento to Professor Adautor da Escola the Inframogen /gem /UFBA. Introduction. The guarantee of sexual and reproductive rights is directly associated with the accessibility in health services that are often violated by multifactors, which as structuring axes work in an articulated way, such as racism, sexism, conditions socioeconomic and cultural, sexual and reproductive health and the rights that go with it must be understood not only with the possibility of men and women guaranteed a satisfying and safe sex life, and in conditions to reproduce, but also with the possibility of deciding to do it or not, in the period, and at the desired frequency. In addition to encompassing, mainly, access to appropriate services of healthcare. SOUZA, TYRRELL, 2007. Black women's health inequalities are a legacy of inequalities posed by social and political relations based on discrimination of racial and sexist origin, violating rights, making public policy actions impossible, as well as hindering access to social ascension and to a quality, egalitarian health service that respects racial diversity status. Gimries, Joe, 2007. Surveys carried out in the state of Rio de Janeiro reveal incisive data on racial discrimination in care. Then they found that hospitals, public and private, treat white and black pregnant women differently, revealing that the number of black pregnant women who were not adequately examined during the prenatal examination was higher compared to white ones. Petrie, 2002. Issues related to reproductive health and the type and quality of rights over this health is strongly influenced by ethnicity and gender, with class as a mediator. For race, gender and sexuality are related. However, the way in which this connection works in everyday life is unexplored. In addition to very few interventions focused on this interconnectivity. Sansone, 2004. State of the Art of Sexual Health and Reproductive Health, Gender and Race and Their Interrelationships. The sexual and reproductive health experiment in its entirety for women is directly influenced by living conditions and different forms of social inclusion. To the issues of gender, race and generation shape asymmetries and vulnerabilities about women restricting rights, freedoms of choice and options. Because the definition of sexual health and reproductive health brings the following Korea, Alves, J. and Nuzzi, 2006, page 43 and 45. 3. That sexual health is the ability of women and men to enjoy and express their sexuality without risk of sexually transmitted diseases, unwanted pregnancies, coercion, violence and discrimination, making it possible to experience an informed, pleasant and safe sex life, based on self-esteem, which it implies a positive approach to human sexuality and mutual respect in sexual relationships. Reproductive health is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being and not the mere absence of illness or disease. In all aspects related to the reproductive system, its functions and processes, It implies, therefore, that the person can have a safe and satisfying sex life, having the ability to reproduce and the freedom to decide when and how many times to do so. However, for Ventura 2005, the current conception of sexual rights and human rights the right to sexual health and reproductive health is not limited, but has a more encompassing human, individual and social rights, such as the right to freedom, reproductive autonomy and self-determination, right to information, education, development of capacity for decision-making. However, the Program for Integral Attention to Women's Health (SEXISM) regulated in 1986, a feminist inspiration, contributed to a change in the attitude of the health sector, by advocate a list of actions aimed at guaranteeing comprehensive care for women's health, now in the condition of a collective political subject. The program withdraws from the scene only the attention mother-infant care and expands assistance to women throughout their life cycle through educational activities, preventive, diagnostic, treatment and recovery measures, in addition to guaranteeing the specificities identified from the population profile of women. Costa Gimres, 2002. Brazil, 2004. According to the objectives expressed in the World Action Platform /Beijing 95, women should have access to health services in all their life cycles, in addition to information and integrated care services being adequate and with quality, guaranteeing the rights to sexual health and reproductive health. ARTICULACAOD Women, BRASILIRAs, 2000. However, prior to Beijing in Cairo in 1994, a new international paradigm was introduced into the debate on population and development, contemplating the concern related to human rights violations committed in the field of reproduction, which, historically, has centered on the control of women's bodies, rather than recognizing the freedom of men and women for democratic planning. Ventura, 2005. When defining the National Policy for Integral Attention to Women's Health, SEXISM in 2004 assumes that sexual and reproductive rights are understood as human rights, with relevance to the diversity and specific needs of the population feminine. Therefore, it is necessary that in any planning of women's health actions, in addition to the gender focus, issues related to race/ethnicity are also incorporated, that is, the color issue in health, with a view to ensuring that all health indicators consider this variable, with the purpose of guaranteeing equity in health to reduce racial inequalities. Brazil, 2005. Therefore, the guarantee of sexual and reproductive rights is directly associated with the accessibility in health services that are often violated by multifactors that act in articulated form, such as racism, sexism, socioeconomic and cultural conditions, which act in structuring way in the accessibility to health services. Determining the health condition and disease of the affected population. Lopes, 2004. However, Barbosa 2001 racism is a factor that generates diseases and/or aggravation of pre-existing pathogenic situations, as well as an incidence factor on the mortality rates of population. That is, racism makes the black population more vulnerable throughout the life cycle. Cruz 2002 corroborates when he describes the conditions of enslavement, colonization, Patriarchy and exclusion shaped the reality and crystallized structures as legitimate and imposed on black women in relation to their health, extra-biological factors. And according to Wernick 2001 in his article AIDS, the vulnerability of black women, inequalities in the health of black women are legacies of inequalities posed by social and political relations based on discrimination of racial and sexist origin, violating rights, making public policy actions impossible, as well as hindering access to social ascension and to a quality, egalitarian health service that respects racial diversity. Crenshaw 2002 corroborates when he describes intersectionality as an association of multiple systems of subordination being variously described as discrimination composite, multiple loads, or as double or triple discrimination, which concentrates problems seeking to capture the structural consequences of the dynamics of interaction between two or more axes of subordination. Methodology for this article. A bibliography review was carried out, based on the analysis reference intersectional approach of gender and race in the field of sexual and reproductive health, through publications from the SHALO database, Lilacs, and in the Virtual Women's Library (BVM) and in the thematic area of health. For the black population of the Virtual Library of the Ministry of Health. For criteria for inclusion, articles and complete book chapters were selected. As key terms were used: black women and health, racial inequalities and health, from 2000 to 2009. Found, we selected those related to the proposed theme. The results of the bibliographic research, with a temporal cut, showed that they are scarce. The number of scientific articles related to racial inequalities and health, as well as an also restricted number of specific publications on black women and health, since the discussion of the health of the black population in scientific texts began in the late 1990s with the insertion of the color item in the Health Information System of the Ministry of Health. The ATASUs having a greater amplitude after the creation of the National Committee for the Health of the Black Population 2000 and later, the National Policy for Comprehensive Health Care for the Black Population 2006. Analysis and discussion racial inequalities and the socio-demographic and economic profile of women. Several studies bring socio-demographic and economic aspects to characterize the women according to race/color and inequalities in data. For Leal et al. 2005, black women have less access to education, have lower social and economic status, live in worse living and housing conditions and, with regard to reproductive health, have less access to contraceptive methods and are more likely to become pregnant even if they do not want to. White women had an average of 8.8 years of schooling, the higher value for both for brown women 6.9 and for black women 6.6. Family income evidenced these differentials. White women had a family income about 1.5 times greater than brown and 2.5 higher than black women. OLINTO 2000. According to Chancham 2001, the difference between levels of education by ethnic groups is expressive. 20% among those without formal education were white and 73.6% were brown. And among women with the first degree, 29% were white and 65% brown. Among women with education higher 66% were white and 32% brown. A study carried out on the health/disease profile of black women in a rural region of Greater São Paulo revealed that the majority were married, Catholic and had incomplete elementary school. They were between 26 and 35 years old, and worked at home crews. 2004. Racial inequalities and sexual and reproductive health. Regarding reproductive characteristics, the lowest number of children is observed in white women, precisely those with higher education, better income and better conditions life. Among all black women, about 40% did not use any contraceptive method. OLINTO 2000. Regarding sexuality, 21.7% of black women denied having sexual satisfaction, and in choosing to use contraceptive methods, the most frequent was the pill, followed shortly after tubal ligation. 17.9% cruise. 2004. Black women's precarious access to contraceptives is also revealed through the largest portion and in the smallest range of the contraceptive mix, in which the pill and sterilization account for 83% of fertility regulation, as opposed to 76% in the group of white women. PDR-PDTUO 2000. Racial inequalities and access to prenatal care and childbirth. The percentage of black pregnant women who received what the Ministry of Health considered as a minimum quality package for prenatal care, 6 consultations throughout pregnancy, plus a postpartum consultation, was 61% and 31%, in contrast to 77% and 46% of white women. PDR-PDTUO 2000. In prenatal care, black and brown women had less access to adequate care in accordance with the standards established by the Ministry of Health. The pilgrimage in search of attendance was 31.8% among black women, 28.8% among brown women and 18.5% among white women. When analyzing among postpartum adolescents, it was observed that 24.5% were black, 22.3% brown and 16.3% white. Leal et al. 2005. Racial inequalities and maternal mortality. Black women are subject to a risk of maternal mortality that is twice that of risk to which white women are subjected. According to the author Martins 2004, maternal death is in the group of diseases that affect the black population, whose evolution is aggravated or the treatment it is hampered by lack of access to health services or poor quality of care. For Lopes 2004. For these and other reasons, it is not a mere coincidence that most of maternal deaths occurs with black women. Among the causes of maternal deaths, the main ones are related to abortion complications. A study in São Paulo identified that maternal mortality was the second cause of death among black women. When analyzing all the deaths, 349 of these, it was found that exceeds that of whites by 5.6 times, with a coefficient of 212.80 over 100,000 live births. About maternal death caused by abortion, black women 13.6 have a 2.5 times greater risk when compared to white women. 5.3 Bonde Batista 2002. According to Martins 2006, even excluding late deaths for the capitals, the white women have the lowest ratio and mortality. 48.73 over 100,000 live births, followed by for black women, with 72.61, with 65.07 for brown women and 227.60 for black women. Considerations: many works that address issues related to reproductive health. Most of them relate black women to the health disease process, being more exposed to infertility and maternal mortality. As a result, their biological predisposition to some diseases. The example of arterial hypertension and myomatosis. Instead of addressing issues related to difficulties in accessing health services, the result of racial discrimination that would determine their greater concentration in peripheral areas, where the service infrastructure is absent or deficient. Perpetual. 2002. Racial inequalities, resulting from the effects of social exclusion and racism, are manifested through the practice of prejudice and discrimination. Research reveals that the inequalities in the health of black women are due to the violation of rights that make it difficult for them to social ascension and access to decent conditions for health services. Status. Gimries. Arajo. 2007. Some authors: Barbosa, 2001, Lopes, 2004, and Batista, 2002, describe when analyzes the indicators that for the negatives the black population has the highest index, mainly the black woman who contradicts the numbers when compared to the white man. But in relation to positive indexes as life expectancy, the white woman has the highest index, 71 years, while the black woman 66 years old. Batista, 2002. In this way, when the racial approach is made to the discussion of the inequalities that affect women in Brazil, commonly points to the presence of a triple discrimination: the fact of being woman, being black, and the social issue, and that the black woman, as an indivisible being, experiences simultaneously extreme degrees of violence stemming from sexism, racism, and prejudice of social class. In Monolithic Block. Barbosa, 2001, WERNDCK, 2001. Health inequalities reveal through cross-sectional studies how the intersectionality deals specifically with racism, sexism, class oppression, creating basic inequalities that structure positions, especially when referring to black women. For according to Corencho 2002, women of color are often positioned in a space where racism or xenophobia, class and gender meet. Bibliography. Articulation of Brazilian women. Public policies for women in Brazil, 5 years after Beijing. Brasilia, 2000. Barbosa, Maria Inês de Silva. She is a woman, but she is black. Profile of the mortality of the room of the eviction. Journal of the Health Network. Number March 23, 2001. Bautista, Luis Eduardo. Black Women and Men, Health, Disease and Death Thesis. Terrorell XP, Sao Paulo State University, 2002. Brazil, Ministry of Health. Attention to the health of black women. Perspective of equity in the National Pact for the Reduction of Maternal and Neonatal Mortality. Brasilia, 2005. CHAM. Alessandra Sampaio. Socioeconomic, Age and Racial Conditions. Network Journal Health. Number March 23, 2001. Costa, Ana Maria, Gimries, M. Carmo Laff. Social Control, a matter of citizenship. Health is a matter for women. Feminist Health Network. Second Education 2002. Crenshaw, Kimberly. Document for the meeting of specialists in aspects of racial discrimination related to gender. Revista Estudos Feministas. Vol. 10. 10.1. p. 171-188. 2002. Cruz, Isabel C. Fonseca D. Sexuality, Reproductive Health and Violence Against Black Women, Aspects of Interest for Nursing Care. Red. Escape. Nurse USP, 2004, 38 448, 57. Lopes, Fernanda. Unequal Experiences at Birth, Living, Falling Ill and Dying, Topics in Health of the Black Population in Brazil. In Brazil, Ministry of Health. National Health Seminar Black Population. Brasilia, 2004. Martins, Vallertley and Drove. Racial Differentials in Maternal Mortality Profiles and Indicators for Brazil. Paper presented at the XIV National Meeting of Population Studies, ABEP, held in Calçambe, Milligrams, Brazil, from September 20, 24, 2004. Martins, Vallertley and Drove. Maternal Mortality of Black Women in Brazil. CAD. Health Public Online. 2006. Vol. 22. 10.11. Pages 2473 to 2479. OLINTO. MDA. And OLINTO. PA Race and Inequalities Among Women. An example in extreme south of Brazil. Public Health Notebook. Rio de Janeiro. 16/4/1137-1142. October-December 2000. PPR PDTUO. Ignace Helena Oliva. Race and Access to Priority Actions on the Health Agenda. Reproductive Annals of the XII National Meeting of Population Studies, 2000. Available P3S. Even during childbirth, Black people are discriminated against. Folha de São Paulo Online Journal São Paulo Poll, 2000 to May 25. Available at http://www.folha.ul.com.br/flha/cotidiano May 25, 2002. Sansone, Livio. Race, Ethnicity and Reproductive Health. The Afro-Latin American Case. Monteiro, Simone. Sansone, Livio. Ethnicity in Latin America. The Debate on Race, Health and Reproductive Rights. Rio de Janeiro. FIOCRUZ. 2004. Santos, Maria dos Santos. Guimarães, M. José Bezerra. Araujo, Thalia de Barreto D. Racial Inequalities in the Mortality of Adult Women in Recife, 2001 to 2003. Health Society. São Paulo. Versus 16. N12. P. 87-102. 2007. SOUZA. Cliente Ventura D. TYRRELL, Moreta Antonieta Rubio. The facts and acts related to the difficult exercise of sexual and reproductive rights. In clippings. The process of living of a group of women from popular classes. Text and context. Nursing. Vol. 16. Ben 1. 2007. Ventura, Marian. legal possibilities for the affirmation and implementation of sexual rights and sexual and reproductive rights in defense of a secular state. Series Feminist Arguments and 3 2005 WER-NDCK Jeremy AIDS, The Vulnerability of Black Women. Journal of the Health Network. Number March 23, 2001.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap with a certainty, I have a sense of urgency. A message for eternity, for everyone internally. I had some people burning me, but now they fucking learn to see I ain't the one to fuck with, now they looking nervously. And I don't really care what you think of me respectfully. You can kick rocks if you think you're fucking better, see. I will outwork you, turn you to an enemy. Hurt you so bad that you're gonna need some therapy. I got the motherfucking recipe. I've been cooking up hits, I'ma leave a legacy. You'll be looking small when you're standing right next to me. I'm 5'10", bitch, but I'm 10 feet next to me. I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yeah, I'ma do it my way. Yeah, I'ma do it my way. I can't contain it, I'm coming out with a statement. You really changed, man, all your music and arrangement. You don't know shit, shut your mouth, you can save it. I'm the same dude that got his come up from the basement. 100 songs, 100 weeks, didn't change it. Experiments, development, intelligence, and patience. I'll do it all again, cause I never feel complacent. Let's keep the good vibes, positivity's contagious. I'm never looking back, cause I made a life that's passionate. A college graduate suppressing all his talents, yeah. He found a way to go and change, become an advocate. For taking control of your life, go out and battle. And you think you have a dream, then act on it. Get after it, get out your head and fucking capture it. You got one life to master it. Don't give up on your future, we all start losers. We're all late bloomers, gotta struggle through the sewer. I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I